Thank you, Ritesh. And I see a lot of familiar faces here. It's really heartening to, actually find a forum where people with like-minded interests in cheese can come under one roof and spend a better part of a day together. So what I've actually done is I don't have a presentation for you, but I'm going to share some high points of my journey, which is intricately related to the growth and development of the cheese market in India. All right. So before that, I really thank the Chris Hansen team here for making this event happen. In fact, when I was walking here, I was thinking that the very fact that we actually are having a conclave on cheese in India really tells us that the market for cheese has come of age. Because when I started my journey as a cheese marketeer all of 24 years ago, given the size of the market, the tiny size of the market, and given the very low volume of consumption at that point in time, motivating people and generating a high level of interest in organizing any event around cheese in India would not have been a viable proposition. So thank you, Chris Hansen team, for really making this event a reality. And the timing is also very apt. Just 5 years ago, I believe when you had the first edition in 2014, that was the year when Amul was celebrating its golden jubilee of our pioneering efforts of bringing cheese into Indian market. That is, manufacturing and marketing cheese in India. It all started in the year 1964 when the legendary Dr. Verghese Kurin, leading his technical team, achieved that big breakthrough, a pioneering technological breakthrough of mass manufacturing, high quality cheddar, using the typical Indian milk. And as all of us are from the dairy industry, many of us, we know that the typical Indian milk is of mixed animal origin. So mix of cow and buffalo. And at that point in time, that was a big technological breakthrough. And then for the next 55 years, the market for cheese had to really be built virtually from scratch, virtually from zero. In fact, I remember creating this market was actually an exercise in both creativity and perseverance. We had to build it up brick by brick, very slowly and meticulously. It would also be pertinent to mention here that out of this 55-year journey, the first 34 years or so, the team at Amul had the sole responsibility for building the market. We were actually all alone because there were no other players in the national scene. In fact, only in the last 20 years or so, there has been visibility of other players in the cheese industry, and that has obviously accelerated and contributed to the process of market creation. I remember when I joined this effort a quarter century ago, the total consumption of cheese in India was still very, very low. And if I were to just ask you to hazard a guess as to what would be the per capita consumption of cheese in India in 1995, can anybody, I know you will never be able to get the accurate figure, but can anyone even try and attempt a guess what could have been the per capita consumption of cheese in India per annum way back in 1995? That was when I started my journey.
5 grams, 20 grams.
Well, I can tell you, Harshad, even that is a gross overestimation. It used to be a grand figure of 1.4 grams per annum per person. And that was the total cheese consumption in this country. So you can imagine the kind of odds that we were facing. The challenges were many and they were really daunting. So what did we do? One of course is the fact that fitting an alien Western concept like cheese into the traditional Indian food habits, that itself was a challenge, because the awareness of the applications or the usage of cheese in food dishes was at a very nascent stage. And then 24 years ago, a quarter century ago, given the state of the cold chain infrastructure in this country, distributing cheese beyond a few metro cities was not even possible. Okay? So those are the big challenges that we faced. Now, what did we do? And I also remember that the entire concept of what we today take for granted, cold chain logistics, refrigerated chilled warehousing, retail shops having refrigerated storage units, all these were very, very nascent, evolving concepts in India. They were not a reality. They were just taking off, taking baby steps forward. And that is where that's the scenario in which we all started. What did we do to overcome these challenges and then build the market? For us, consumer education was clearly the key. And a large part of the effort that the team at Amul spent was in educating and communicating. Trying to popularize the usages and applications of cheese among Indian consumers. Even Indian restaurants had to be actively encouraged to include cheese-based dishes in their menu. A lot of effort went into tapping both in-home and out-of-home consumption. We invested big time in setting up cold chain refrigerated logistics, which could take cheese beyond the few metro cities of Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, into remote areas, small cities, small towns, where till that time no refrigerated products had ever gone before. It was totally for the first time any refrigerated product would be coming in those cities and towns. So those were the kind of pioneering steps that we had to take. Today, thankfully, not today, so last 20 years or so, the base has been built. Okay, the hard part has been done. So, of course, the industry as such has that opportunity of collaborating together and taking the market to the next level. The industry itself to the next level. I remember one of the big watershed events and one of the biggest challenges that we faced around 21 years ago was when we decided at Amul that it was time to introduce to the Indian market cheeses beyond the popular processed cheddar. And we had decided then that we should move the Indian consumer beyond processed cheddar into other varieties of cheeses. Alright. And when we say this, we are not talking about importing a handful of cheeses and then putting it in a few shops in the metro cities or a few five-star hotels, like Suran mentioned. Nor are we talking about manufacturing artisanal cheese on a micro scale exclusively for a few modern trade chains. When we at Amul do something, we do it with large numbers, with scale and volumes in mind. So the first cheese that we said, and this was the year 1998, we want to move beyond the processed cheddar. We brought in mozzarella in the market. And I remember when we made in our factory in Anand the first batch of mozzarella cheese. And I put it in my car and took it to the first customer in Ahmedabad. It was a very popular, at that point in time, pizza joint. Okay? Initially, the challenge itself was to make my customers, my target audience, pronounce mozzarella. It was a big challenge, how to make them even pronounce the name. So I went to this big pizza joint, okay? It was the most popular in that time. It's still around, but not as popular. I went to the owner and said, look, finally we have mozzarella cheese for you. He said, okay, what does it do? What? Cheese melts. I said, good heavens, why do you want cheese to melt? So, what do you want to do? How do you make your pizza? I said, you don't know what a pizza is? Come to my kitchen, I'll show you. So he took me inside the kitchen and he took a par-baked 12-inch pizza base and smeared it liberally with a lot of tomato gravy, put in a lot of chopped onions and capsicum on top, and put it inside the oven. I said, where's cheese? So hang on, wait, cheese coming. 10 minutes later, the pizza comes out. And then he takes, and this is all 1998, right? He takes a can of Amul processed cheese and starts grating it directly on the pizza, alright? And then he keeps on grating, he just heaps it on, and almost like a mount, or what he called a mini mountain, and gives it to me. That's your pizza. I said, hey, you don't want to melt it? No. If it melts, my customers think I'm putting less. They want to see this mountain of cheese. Alright? So that is from where we started, and today you can see the scenario all around you. So it's really been, a very fantastic journey. It's not just about ideating, strategizing, and creating the roadmap. I've actually walked the streets, going shop to shop, restaurant to restaurant, pitching for cheese for all these years. And we know the ground realities, and we know how the market works here. And just another interesting thing, this was a time in mid-90s when the multinational pizza chains were actually coming into India. And pizza was a big mystery for Indian customers. And these multinational, the Domino's and the Pizza Hut, I don't know if there are any of them today here, they were so prohibitively expensive that normal, ordinary Indians were even scared to walk inside those swanky, air-conditioned restaurants. And, people had no idea. Pizza was a mystery to them. And I must add, a very expensive mystery. So what did we do? We organized thousands, and I say literally thousands of demonstration classes for ladies, for women. And I see many of my colleagues who walked this journey with me here, people who are in Amul at that point in time, they're sitting in the audience today. We did literally thousands of such classes, demonstrations on how to make pizzas very easily at home, using everything that they already had in the kitchen. Just add a bit of Amul mozzarella and it's done. We didn't stop at that. For 50,000 grocery stores in India, ordinary grocery stores, kirana shops, as all of Indians know, we tried to demonstrate, we conducted demo classes for them too, trying to convince them that please convert part of your grocery kirana store into a pizza outlet. And you can earn more money that way. What happened in the process? Pizza got totally demystified. And the price points came crashing down. And today you see even every Indian multi-cuisine restaurant would also have pizza in the menu, right? So this is how you change the game, change the rules of the game completely. And those are some of the transformational, game-changing steps that we took. Created that revolution, triggered it, and today we are where we are today. I'm not saying that we've, reached anywhere close to some of those per capita consumption in some of the European countries, even the US. But yes, we've come a long way. If I have to give a comparison, what we sell with the current scenario, today what we sell in half a day is what I used to sell an entire month, like 20 years ago. The total value of the market, cheese industry in India, in the last 2 decades would have gone up by 100x. The volume itself would have gone up by almost 45x. The per capita consumption, according to my standards, according to my info, which might differ from some of your figures, has gone up by 32x. But still, we are a long way from any of the European countries. Take any country in Europe, their per capita consumption today is between 500 to 600 times what we have in the country today, in India today. Even United States is 400 times the per capita consumption from what we have currently in India at this point in time. When we, in the year 1999, we introduced Emmental in this country, and one of my first customers sitting here in this hall right now, I just saw him walk in. Jahangir, are you there somewhere? There he is. He was my first customer in 1999, whom we tapped for this product. 2002, we introduced Gura. And whatever we do, we try and work on volumes and large numbers. So a similar large-scale consumer education, communication effort followed. So when we sell, say, Amul Gura today, it's not just confined to the metros of Mumbai, Delhi, Bangalore, Pune, Ahmedabad. You will go from Srinagar to Trivandrum, or from Rajkot to Guwahati, and you'll find a few shops which will have Amul Gura. We try and expand our reach, we try and reach the masses, we try and get the numbers and the volumes. That's the kind of work that we do. That's the kind of work that we take pride in. Well, if I were to also try and crystallize some of the other reasons for our success, okay, it is not just the marketing excellence and the pioneering technological breakthroughs. One of the other reasons why Amul also succeeded big time in making cheese to the level, taking the cheese industry in India to the level where it is. It is also because we were not marketing cheese alone, or we are not in the cheese business alone. We were already very strong in the dairy industry, leaders in just about every other dairy segment, and our cheese business derived full benefits, full advantages of the entire Amul business. So whether it was synergizing on the cold chain logistics network that we had, whether it was building on the strength of our partnership with our trade partners, our bond with the end consumers, we derive full advantage of the entire Amul business in building the cheese market. I really don't think we would have been even remotely as successful had we tried building the market for cheese alone or marketing cheese alone. And I really don't think there's been any organization in India at least which has been able to make an economically viable business just by trying to focus on cheese in isolation. It basically requires synergization with the entire dairy portfolio, and only then it will work. Because we all know it is a capital intensive industry, right? The packaging, the manufacturing equipment is very expensive. And if you want to do volumes, there's even bigger investment in whey processing, which in India, whey disposal is a big challenge. We all know that, those who've been struggling with this industry. Plus, then the whole marketing effort, the marketing investments, the distribution, the logistics investment, the cold chain distribution, the supply chain, all that requires huge money, huge amount of investments. And that, of course, can only be justified if anyone has a large portfolio of products. We have been in this industry, and we know the challenges, and I can empathize with anyone else, any newcomer in this industry who's trying to make their mark. We understand the kind of pain and the challenges that you will be facing. We empathize. So, while the market growth in the last 24 years or so has been phenomenal, but if we have to see the outlook for the next 3 to 5 years, one thing I can clearly tell you that the volume CAGR, compounded average growth rate in 2 decades, has been close to 20%. Alright? When we say the European countries, the per capita consumption, the market is huge, mature, and India is nascent, we must see commonsensically that there are very concrete logical reasons for this. Cheese, especially the cultured cheeses, have become big markets in basically countries which have cold climates. Why? Because if you're making cultured cheeses, you need to store it somewhere for it to ripen and mature. And cold countries, it's easy to store large volumes of cheese and wait for it to mature and ripen. In India, what became popular was the cheese that we make with direct acidification, paneer. Instant production, instant consumption. Right? Plus also, in cold countries, because of the cold climate, there's more of a need to include animal proteins in the diet. Right? So what's changing in India now? With the improved refrigeration, logistics, supply chain network, today there's infrastructure in place to manufacture and store large volumes of cheese and wait for it to mature and ripen. So that's obviously contributing to the market acceleration, in the industry acceleration. The second is, of course, the rising incomes. Because of rising incomes, there's that affinity to include more of animal proteins and animal fat in the diets. That is also contributing to the process of market acceleration. The third big trend, according to me, obviously is enhanced exposure to global influences. So we see more and more of global influence, more exposure, and obviously that comes in. Again, when something is not part of the traditional consumption habit in India, what happens is the entry point is always going to be out of home. Which is why in India today, the out of home segment is growing at a much faster rate than the in-home consumption. Which is why you see a lot of activity on building the market for out of home consumption today. But I can also tell you, quite logically, that ratio will also change over time. So in-home consumption is going to become more and more progressively. So all of us who get very excited about the out-of-home consumption, the HoReCa, the QSRs and so on, that is the entry point for getting cheese inside the house. And that is going to lead to more and more in-home consumption. And over a period of time, say over the next decade and a half, you'll see that ratio changing. All right? Well, anyhow, today is a good beginning and an excellent forum for all of us who are interested in the cheese industry, people who can come together under one roof, share our views, share our experiences. And once again, I thank the Chris Hansen team for making this happen. And let us at least approach the theme with an open mind. And I wish everyone present here great success in your efforts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Pavan Singh, for sharing your valuable insights. And I think the key takeaway, and as you rightly said, is that the cheese market it's at the right time and it's the right time to take it to the next level. With that, I would like to invite Monsieur Lee Bong, Business Development and Director from Christian Hansen APAC, to kindly hand over a token of appreciation to Mr. Pavan Singh.
You know, it's really inspiring to see 20 odd years ago, the per capita consumption of cheese in India started with 1.5 gram. Today it's 200 gram. So I hope the next time we have a cheese conclave, we're celebrating 20 kilos.